My boyfriend had a childhood sweetheart who used to chase after him every day. At first, he found her annoying and even swore in public. I'd rather die than ever look at her. But later, he cornered her against the wall and said he wanted to make up for not kissing her when she was 18. Chapter 1. When Ryan said those words, the whole private room fell silent. Even the most talkative friend, the usual mood maker, was stunned. In the silence, the face of his childhood friend gradually turned pale. Her eyes welled up with tears. And finally, she couldn't bear it any longer. She bolted out the door. Don't mind her. She's just being crazy again. Let her calm down on her own. Ryan's face was cold as he spoke with irritation, but his hand suddenly tightened around mine, making it hurt. Friends started handing out gifts one by one, laughing and wishing me a happy birthday. When it came to Ryan, he was staring blankly at the door. Ryan, what are you spacing out for? Where's your gift? You're the only boyfriend who hasn't given one yet. Come on, let us see how fancy your gift for Julia is. Gift? Ryan's face turned pale. He glanced at me with guilt. Sorry, I was too focused on telling Selena not to cause trouble on your birthday. I forgot. I clenched my fist but kept my expression calm. It's fine. Our friends laughed, trying to lighten the mood. Come on, it's not a big deal. Julia, what's your birthday wish? Let Ryan make it happen. The candles on the cake flickered. I looked Ryan in the eyes and said slowly, I wish to get married this year. Everyone in the room started teasing him, throwing knowing glances. They urged him to propose soon. Ryan cursed under his breath and tossed a pillow around to playfully dodge the topic. But he never answered me. When I handed Ryan his piece of cake, he was too busy replying to messages to even glance at me. I peeked at his phone. It was from his childhood friend. Ryan, will you fall in love with me in the next life? I love you so much. I can't take it anymore. I looked away. The next moment, Ryan grabbed his coat and rushed out the door. He didn't say a single word to me. His friends and I sat there in stunned silence, exchanging awkward glances. Finally, one of them gave in and called Ryan. The phone rang 3 times before he picked up. The friend turned on speaker and joked, Ryan, Julia's birthday isn't over yet. Where'd you go? You didn't even say goodbye. On the other end, Ryan snapped, for F***'K's sake. Can you not mess with me right now? Selena's missing. All right? I don't have time for this crap. He hung up. The room fell dead silent. The friend forced a smile and tried to explain. Sis, maybe Ryan's just really worried. I mean, no matter what, he and Selena grew up together. He can't just leave her like that. I forced a smile too, lips barely curving, just as they tried to console me more. Ryan's closest college buddy, Victor, let out a cold laugh. Worried? Didn't you all grow up together too? I don't see any of you losing your minds. The friend tugged Victor's sleeve, silently begging him to stop. Victor's gaze dimmed. He turned to look at me. My head was a mess. I used going to the restroom as an excuse to escape. Facing the mirror, I pressed my palm hard to calm myself down. Ryan and I were college classmates. During military training, I kept marching out of sync, and I was the only one singled out by the instructor in our department. Under the blazing sun, I was left alone to practice. Maybe it was the pressure and the embarrassment from the laughter around me, but I only got more out of sync. The laughter grew louder, and that's when Ryan stepped forward. He swaggered up next to me, but his voice was firm. Instructor, I'm off sync too. I'd like to join her for extra drills. Ryan practiced with me for a long time. The sunset cast a warm glow on his handsome face. Against the light, he scratched his head and smiled at me. Hey, classmate, you're rubbing off on me. When the instructor checks us later, you'll have to take responsibility for me, all right? My heart was pounding, and the next second, I fainted from heat stroke. Ryan was the one who carried me to the medical room, and we gradually became close. Later, in the library, he tugged at the corner of my shirt, tilted his head, and said, Hey, classmate, I think I like you. Want to take responsibility again? And just like that, we got together. It wasn't until a year later that I found out he had a childhood sweetheart. She'd repeated a year just to get into our university. Her crush on Ryan was no secret. At first, Ryan did keep his distance. I told you I have a girlfriend. What are you doing clinging to me like this? What if she misunderstands? Can't you have a little self-respect? He was harsh. I even told him not to be so mean to the poor girl. He would always smile and pat my head. I just don't want you to feel insecure. I truly believed I had found someone wonderful. But later, I realized even though Ryan disliked her, he still allowed her to invade our lives. Throughout the years we were together, her presence was everywhere. And now, he left me behind for her. It felt like a knife that had been hovering in my heart finally fell, clean and deep. Chapter 2. I thought Ryan would at least call to explain. But he didn't. I waited and waited, only to receive a message from a friend saying they were leaving. I replied, okay, and shut off my phone. When I walked out of the bathroom, blank and numb, I saw Victor leaning against the wall. My bag in his hand. He looked up at me, eyes unreadable. I'll take you home, he said. I declined gently. It's fine, I already called a ride. His voice dipped a little. Then he suddenly let out a laugh. It was Ryan. He asked me to give you a ride. I couldn't say yes and then not do it. Could I? Just that one sentence, and I could hear the bitterness between his teeth. I froze for a second, then asked, did he say anything else? Victor leaned down and pulled my coat snug around me, his tone turning cold. Let's talk in the car. Before I knew it, I was in the passenger seat of Victor's car. He handed me a cup of honey water and said nothing more. After a long while, I hesitated. By the way, did he? Victor cut me off, his lips thin and flat. No. He cast a cold glance at me. Your address? I couldn't help but grumble inwardly. Wasn't this supposed to be on the way? I turned my head and met his deep gaze. He lowered his eyes coolly. So I took the hint, gave him the address, and fell silent. The rest of the ride was quiet. With the alcohol still in my system, I drifted off. I dreamed. In the dream, Ryan held Selena tightly and told her that he had always loved her. They poured their hearts out to each other while the people around them pointed at me, saying I didn't deserve to be between them. I tried to resist, but I couldn't move until a voice yanked me back to reality. I opened my eyes and locked into a pair of jet black pupils. After a moment, Victor looked away, lashes fluttering slightly. You were having a nightmare. In the narrow car. We were far too close. I immediately scooted away, creating space between us. He raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. I mumbled a thank you and quickly got out of the car. I exhaled. Finally. Ryan had told me once that Victor was a man of few words and cold to everyone. Now I truly believed it. The dark, empty room told me Ryan hadn't come home yet. Even when he was on business trips before, he'd try to make it back or at least fall asleep with me on a call. But now, I stared at my phone. I could feel it. Something was changing. Frustrated, I scrolled through social media and suddenly saw Selena's latest post. The two of them, watching the sunrise together on the beach. The caption read, "My 18-year-old dream finally came true." Ryan had already liked it. I let out a bitter laugh. After all these years, I could recognize Ryan's silhouette from a mile away, and I knew the girl who'd been chasing behind him since childhood had wished, on her 18th birthday, to give him her first kiss. Ryan fulfilled that wish for her, so mine could only be broken. When Ryan came home, I was packing. All the things we'd bought together from college until now, there were quite a lot. Seeing me at home, he touched his neck awkwardly, but even with him trying to hide it, I still saw the red mark on his neck. I took a deep breath and said, "Let's break up." Then I turned my face away from him. Break up? He came over and pulled me into his arms, coaxing me. Still throwing a tantrum? How about I make it up to you with a gift? I pushed him away, serious like never before. I'm not joking, Ryan. I mean it. He paused for a moment, then suddenly flared up. Julia, do you have to make a scene? Selena is like a sister to me. We grew up together. What do you expect me to do? Just ignore her? I didn't sleep all night. Can you give me a break? With that, he slammed the door and left. Chapter 3. I collapsed on the sofa, exhausted. My head was filled with images from last night's dream. It must have been about half a year ago. After graduating from college, Ryan and I finally moved in together. During the housewarming party with friends, Selena stood in front of our photo wall, completely drunk. She kept murmuring, "I'll give up on you now. I won't like you anymore, ever again." That night, Ryan did something rare. He knocked over a glass. After that, Selena really stopped clinging to us. I let out a breath of relief, but Ryan started acting distracted. At his insistence, I helped set Selena up with a great guy. They seemed to be getting along well. Selena's social media was no longer about Ryan, but full of sweet posts about the new guy. Ryan's face turned dark when he found out the guy was planning to confess to her at an amusement park. Ryan got furious. He stormed into the kitchen, knocked over the pork rib soup I had spent the whole afternoon making, and shouted, "Julia, what the hell were you thinking? It hasn't even been 3 months and they're already about to date. Are you sure this guy is decent?" Looking at the mess on the floor, I felt suffocated by his accusations. But Ryan, from the moment we met to the moment we got together, it had only taken 1 month. Selena was brought back home later that day. Ryan's face was bruised. That night, one of our friends messaged me angrily. "What kind of twisted game are you three playing? You told me to go after her, and now suddenly Ryan beats me up? Please, keep your messed up love triangle away from me." That was when I finally realized. Ryan had beaten the guy up, accused him of having bad intentions, and dragged Selena away. Afterward, Ryan said Selena was like his little sister, that he just wanted to look after her. When I objected, he simply smiled and coaxed me. "If I liked her, I would have never been with you." Chapter 4. The next day, I pulled myself together and went to work on time. As soon as I stepped into the office, I noticed a bunch of unfamiliar things on my desk. A coworker tugged me aside, her tone full of gossip. "The boss brought in an intern today." They were all smiles, looked real close. She glanced meaningfully between me and the direction of the noise. "You too." Laughter rang out from the office. It was Selena's voice. I instantly understood. Of course, Selena was about to graduate. Ryan bringing her into the company made perfect sense. I forced down the wave of discomfort in my chest and quietly found an empty desk to sit at. Seeing my coworker's curious gaze, I simply said, "Yeah, we broke up." Her jaw dropped, clearly shocked. I gave her a bitter smile. After graduation, Ryan wanted to start a business. I didn't hesitate. I turned down a big-name company offer and stayed by his side. The industry was struggling, and a startup was even harder to survive in. During the toughest times, I went with Ryan to drink at endless dinners, pushing through for the company's sake. Later, during every team event, Ryan would always thank me first. He'd say I stuck with him from the days when he was a nobody to now. When the company had grown, he promised he would never betray me, that I would always have a place in the company. I used to think I was really lucky. Even our coworkers teased me, saying I'd found a loyal, promising man. Seeing me quiet, my coworker stopped prying. During the meeting, Selena followed Ryan around like a shadow. She peeked out from behind him and sweetly said, "From now on, I'm Ryan's assistant. Please take care of me." Then she turned to look straight at me, her eyes glinting with provocation. "Julia G. Ryan G said I'll be taking over your duties soon, so don't keep any secrets from me." The meeting room fell silent. Coworkers looked at me with pity. My nails dug into my palm. I couldn't even feel the pain. When I looked up, I met Ryan's amused gaze. I knew exactly what he was doing, backing me into a corner. Whenever we disagreed in the past, he always used this tactic. Embarrass me in public. Wait for me to bow my head. I used to understand his struggles and always took the high road. But now, I gave him a smile and replied calmly, "Sure." Ryan was clearly thrown off. He slammed his folder onto the table and said coldly, "Great, then hurry it up. You should really start thinking about your next job." I had expected to leave the company ever since we broke up. But I didn't expect it to happen this soon, or that Ryan would humiliate me like this in front of everyone. I'd actually started sending out resumes yesterday, but with little success. After all, this was a no-name startup. My position wasn't core either. I was just the boss's assistant. On paper, it didn't look great. Ryan was betting I wouldn't dare make a scene. Chapter 5. There was a last-minute business dinner that evening. I grabbed the materials and rushed to the hotel. Right before I entered the room, Ryan leaned against the doorframe and said, "Julia, if you call off the breakup, the position's still yours." I found it laughable. My eyes drifted to Selena, who was running around for him. So I asked, "What about Selena? Where will she go?" He clicked his tongue, sounding casual. "The company's big enough for her." Avoiding the question again, I stared straight into Ryan's eyes. He knew exactly what I meant. Sure, there were other roles for Selena, but what about us? I was done hoping. I looked up and said clearly, "No need, I'll resign soon." Ryan paused for a moment, then gave a mocking smile. "Julia, I already gave you a way out." He sneered. "Just don't come crying to me later." Chapter 6. It wasn't until someone poured me nearly half a bottle of liquor that I finally understood Ryan's intentions. From the moment we arrived, I hadn't had a single bite to eat, while Selena sat comfortably under Ryan's protection, not touching a drop of alcohol, smiling like an innocent girl. After a few rounds, my stomach began to ache, an old condition flaring up. I forced myself to finish one last glass and stood up to head to the restroom, but our client blocked my way. His greasy eyes wandered over me. "Come on, we're just getting started. You leave now. And what fun are we supposed to have?" The pain surged like a tide. I hunched slightly and apologized repeatedly. "My stomach hurts. I really can't drink anymore. Can I take a moment?" I looked at Ryan for help. "There's another colleague here." The client turned to Ryan, waiting for his signal. After a pause, Ryan pulled Selena into his arms and said with a teasing tone, "Afraid not, she can't handle alcohol." Poor thing. He defended her openly. That one line made everything clear. The client raised his glass and walked toward me. My heart sank. I lifted my glass and prepared to down it in one gulp. But a sudden warmth gripped my arm. I opened my eyes and saw Victor's grim expression. He snatched the glass from my hand and slammed it on the table. The client jumped in shock and forced a smile. "President Victor, you're here? A project this small doesn't need your attention." Unable to take it anymore, I rushed out of the room. I vomited for nearly 3 minutes before I could breathe again, after splashing water on my face. I was about to leave when Selena suddenly appeared, clearly waiting for me. Her eyes gleamed with triumph. "They weren't planning to bring you at first, but Ryan knew I'm too delicate to drink, so he brought you instead. If you had any sense, you'd resign and leave. Ryan doesn't care about you anymore. I'm the one who'll win in the end." I chuckled, thinking about all these years of entanglement. I was tired of it. "Oh, really?" I smirked. "If you're that confident, how come Ryan's the one begging me to stay?" Selena's face went pale. I brushed past her without a second glance. Chapter 7. Pushing open the door to the private room, I was mentally prepared to drink until I passed out. This project had taken us over a month to develop. I couldn't let it fail because of personal issues. Strangely enough, the two who had aggressively pressured me to drink earlier were now looking awkward and pouring themselves drink after drink as self-punishment. When I walked in, Victor glanced at me, then spoke. "Not bad. The proposal looks good. We can work together. But..." He looked at Ryan, then at the untouched wine. It was obvious, he wanted Ryan to drink. Ryan was surprised and laughed. "Victor, are you serious?" Before he finished, Selena came bouncing in and clung to Ryan's side. "Ryan took medicine today, he can't drink." She pointed at me and sneered. "Let her drink. She's only here for that anyway." Ryan didn't say a word in my defense. I reached for the wine glass, resigned, but Victor stopped me. His brows furrowed, and his eyes turned cold. "You got a new girlfriend?" Then, with a faint but cutting smile, "Terrible taste." Ryan flushed red in disbelief. "Victor," but Victor cut him off. "In business, call me President Victor." He smiled lazily. "If you can't drink, then let your new girlfriend do it. Otherwise..." He tossed the contract onto the table. The message was clear: drink or lose the deal. Selena pouted, refusing to drink at first. She even said she'd rather lose the deal. But when she saw Ryan's annoyed face, she caved and drank glass after glass. Only when Victor left did she finally stop. Half a bottle of liquor later, Selena was slurring her words. Ryan held her up to leave. As he passed me, he glanced at my hands clutching my aching stomach. For a moment, concern flickered in his eyes, but with Selena tugging at him, he turned and left, watching his back. I remembered the first time I drank until I had stomach cramps. He was just as worried back then, but times had changed. The girl in his arms wasn't me anymore. I gave a bitter smile. Sitting by the curb, I raised my hand from time to time to hail a cab. My head, already dizzy from the alcohol, became heavier with the cold night air. That's when a familiar Bentley stopped in front of me. Victor's face appeared in front of me. He pulled me into the car. The woody scent of his cologne woke me up. When he saw I was conscious, he handed me a cup of honey water. I gave a half smile. Let me guess, Ryan sent you to pick me up again? The dim light highlighted the sharp lines of his face. His rolled-up sleeves revealed muscular forearms. I suddenly remembered. Back in college, my roommates and I once described our dream guy. This was exactly what I'd imagined. Feeling flustered, I turned my head away. No, he replied. The light turned red. He stopped the car and looked over. And last time? Wasn't him either. I raised an eyebrow. A strange feeling stirred inside me. We didn't speak again. After a while, he handed me a business card. If you're planning to resign, try working for me. The gold-embossed card felt warm in my hand. I covered my mouth in disbelief. Even when I was fresh out of college, Victor's company had been way out of my league. And now, he was offering me a position. I smiled at him and thanked him sincerely. I slept in until noon the next day. After sealing such a major deal, I took a well-earned day off. Thinking about my new opportunity, I called Victor to invite him to dinner. He readily agreed. Chapter 8. Sitting in the restaurant. I was momentarily stunned when I saw Victor dressed casually. Unlike his usual suits, today he wore a hoodie and fitted jeans, almost like a college guy. Full of youthful energy, I couldn't help but tease. No wonder Ryan used to say you get love letters just walking down the street. He took a sip of coffee and replied calmly. I never accepted them. Never dated anyone either. Not even someone you liked? There was someone. He looked up at me. But she never wrote me one. I tilted my head and deliberately changed the topic. By the way, could I join the RD department? My resume isn't very impressive. There's nearly a year-long gap, but I really want to go back to my original field. I don't want to keep working as an assistant. He smiled. Of course, I don't need an assistant. I chose you because of your capability. I remember you were top of your class in college. I'm sure it won't take long for you to get the hang of things. As for the gap, we offer onboarding training. If you ever need help, you can always come to me. I lowered my gaze and smiled softly. Words like these I'd never once heard from Ryan. Afraid I'd get cocky. He'd always say, "Those little tricks of yours only work in school." He told me that women have no real competitive edge in the workplace, that I should just be a good assistant. Maybe, in his eyes, that was all I was ever worth. Just as Victor and I were having a great conversation, my phone buzzed nonstop, call after call from Ryan. Worried it might be something urgent from the company, I finally answered. His voice exploded on the other end. Julia, why didn't you come to the celebration dinner? I answered bluntly. I'm job hunting. The call ended abruptly. Then came Ryan's furious voice behind me. This is your new job? Julia, no wonder you've been acting weird lately. Turns out you've hooked yourself a sugar daddy. Huh? His eyes were full of malice as he looked at the two of us. His voice rose even louder. Victor, I thought we were brothers. You steal my girlfriend? Are you even human? His voice carried across the restaurant. Everyone turned to stare. I was getting annoyed. Without a word, I took out my phone and showed him a picture. Ryan, how do you explain this? It was a selfie of him and Selena. She clung to his arm, flashing a ring on her other hand. In the caption, she taunted me. You always wanted this brand's engagement ring, right? Ryan got it for me. Ryan looked stunned. He grabbed my hand, panicking. No, listen. It was her birthday wish, I promised her. I couldn't just break my word. I forced a smile. For some reason, my heart ached a little. Ryan knew I had always wanted to get couple rings from that brand. I remembered showing him an ad with bright eyes. They say it can only be customized once in a lifetime. He laughed and rubbed my head. That's just marketing. It's not even a good investment. Totally unnecessary. But now, he turned around and bought it for Selena. I was supposed to be his girlfriend. But somehow, my wants and feelings never seemed to matter. I steadied myself. Forced calm. Ryan, we already broke up. I don't agree. I kept my voice even. Our breakup had nothing to do with Victor. Please don't twist the story. Ryan's eyes turned red. His expression warped with anger. You're defending him? Julia, you were never like this before. I was tired. I pointed toward Selena, standing silently beside him. And you were never the kind of man who would abandon me just to take care of her. With that, I took Victor's hand and walked out. The meal had turned into a disaster. I gave Victor an apologetic smile. He simply shrugged, unfazed, and said with a grin, well, he's not entirely wrong. Chapter 9. I looked at him, puzzled. I really do have feelings for you, Victor said. I only became friends with him to get closer to you. When I saw you two were fighting, I was actually happy. I thought, if you ever broke up, I'd be the first person you'd see. I had to create an opportunity for myself. A soft breeze passed by. I turned my gaze away first. I wasn't unaware of Victor's feelings. He had spoken up for me at the party, taken me home after I got drunk, and stood up for me at that awful dinner. I had felt something, but to be honest, I wasn't ready for another relationship yet. In the 5 years I was with Ryan, I was constantly compromising. He didn't like me wearing skirts, so my wardrobe had none. He didn't want me focusing too much on work, so I gave up a big-name job offer to be his assistant. I put him first in everything, until I lost myself completely. Maybe that's why Ryan gradually lost interest in me too. Even though I gave it my all, I still couldn't avoid the worst ending. I met Victor's gaze. Let me settle into this new job first. Give me some time for everything else. Victor's clenched fists loosened slightly. He smiled, warm as spring. All right, I'll wait. But promise me, when you're ready, consider me first. I smoothly transitioned into Victor's company. At first, I struggled, even the basics escaped me. Colleagues sneered behind my back. But I didn't mind. I stayed late every day, reviewing the tough materials over and over. Sometimes Victor stayed too. He patiently explained anything I didn't understand. He never bragged. But despite being in management, he understood every detail of the basics. After 3 months, I officially passed my probation. I got the hang of things, and everything began falling into place. In those months, Victor and I grew closer. I realized he wasn't the cold, arrogant man Ryan described. He might appear aloof, but he was actually down-to-earth and warm. Most importantly, he respected me. When I skipped meals for work, he'd quietly order food for me and cheer me on. He never lectured me, never said, "You're a girl. No need to work so hard. You'll settle down eventually anyway." He didn't clip my wings, he helped me fly. For the first time, I realized that a good relationship can push you to be better. Of course, that didn't mean Ryan had given up. The first week after I moved out, he finally noticed and called. His voice trembled on the phone. "Julia, are you really leaving? Why is all your stuff gone from the house? Are you abandoning me?" He sounded so sad and sincere that I almost wavered, until I heard Selena's voice in the background. Excited. "Ryan, I forgot my pajamas, but your shirt fits me perfectly." I hung up in silence and blocked him. Ryan wasn't ready to give up. He showed up at the company's entrance. That Friday, I had left work early for once. Victor and I had planned to try a private kitchen restaurant. At the door, Ryan stopped me. He had dark circles under his eyes and looked utterly worn out. "Julia, I was wrong. I really know I messed up. Come back, okay? I'll fire Selena. The assistant position is still yours. We can fight for our future together. Be our own bosses. Isn't that better than working for him?" Chapter 10. Victor spoke up first. "Ryan, Julia spent a whole year running errands for you, and now you want her to go back and be your assistant again? Do you even know what she really wants to do?" Ryan looked clueless but still sneered. "Her? What else could she possibly do? Victor defended me. Really? Funny. Ryan, if I remember right, Julia ranked top of her class every year in college, while you were always scraping by at the bottom. When we graduated, Julia had offers from top companies in hand, and you? You had nothing. Even your startup was planned out step by Julia, and now you think you can talk down to her? Ryan's face flushed red. He denied it, but the guilt in his eyes gave him away. Thinking of how Ryan had been pestering me these days, I frowned. Ryan, could you stop bothering me? I'm sick of it. He looked wounded. Julia, you're actually tired of me? You were never like this before. I rolled my eyes and turned to leave, but Ryan suddenly shouted behind me. Julia, do you really think Victor likes you? He's got people all around him. Why would he choose you? I was fuming. A wave of disgust hit me hard. Ryan had always gone out of his way to tear down my confidence. Again and again. Just as I was about to explode, Victor gently covered my ears. He mouthed, "Let me handle it." At his signal, the security guard swiftly stepped in and escorted Ryan out, muted and removed from the premises. Later at dinner, I sat dazed, my mind echoing Ryan's cruel words, suffocating under the weight of being constantly belittled. Victor interrupted my thoughts, placing a piece of perfectly cut steak on my plate. Hey, you actually believed what he said? You trust him over me? He sighed with exaggerated sorrow. Wow, and here I thought I had a better reputation than Ryan. I burst out laughing. Yeah, why did I even care what Ryan said? Just like Victor said, I'm an intelligent, capable, beautiful woman. It's perfectly natural that someone would like me. Everyone deserves to be loved. It wasn't until 6 months later that I truly understood what Victor meant by leave it to me. Ryan's company went bankrupt. It was a small firm to begin with, but Ryan insisted on taking on a massive project far beyond his capabilities. The funding collapsed, delivery deadlines were missed, and he was taken to court for breach of contract. I glanced toward the kitchen where Victor was cooking. He shrugged innocently. It wasn't me. When I kept staring, he finally gave in. Okay. I just nudged someone who knew he hadn't even done his math. Can't really blame me for that. Then he asked, teasing, "What? You feel sorry for him?" I looked at the slightly jealous, pouty Victor and couldn't help laughing. How could I? I'm thrilled he's doing terribly. Victor hummed happily while cooking, flipping the spatula like it was flying. Ryan's assets were frozen. He was desperate and started calling around for money. He even called me, begging for help out of old times' sake. I laughed. Where's Selena? Why don't you ask her for money? Ryan fell silent. He couldn't answer. Later, I found out Selena had dumped him the moment she learned he was in legal trouble. Ryan had been her childhood obsession, but once she finally got him, she realized her white moonlight was just plain old white rice. She moved on the second someone new caught her eye. Victor snatched the phone from my hand and sneered. Ryan, weren't you the one who looked down on Julia's job? She leaves you for half a year, and your company crashes? Sounds like you were the useless one all along. Chapter 11. Ryan angrily hung up. Victor winked at me with a smug look. With nowhere else to turn, Ryan started borrowing money in our old college group chat. After throwing out a bunch of big promises, some people actually agreed to lend him money. Victor chuckled and commented, "Just a few empty promises and people are sold?" Back when Ryan founded his company, didn't he say his girlfriend had stuck with him through the tough times and would always have a place in the company? He burned that bridge and kicked Julia out. Did everyone just forget that? His words were like thunder in a clear sky. Several classmates who were about to invest quickly backed out and ghosted the group. Ryan tried to smooth things over, but someone mocked him. Yeah, no, I'm not paying to get stabbed in the back again. Speechless, Ryan left the group. The next time I heard about Ryan, he had gone bankrupt. To pay his debts, he even mortgaged his house. He was now sending resumes everywhere, but with his inflated ego and lack of real skills, he couldn't hold down any job for more than a month. The day Ryan decided to return to his hometown, I agreed to meet him one last time. When he saw me, his eyes lit up briefly before dimming again. After a sip of coffee, he suddenly began. When we first got together, I was really happy. You were beautiful. smart, generous, everyone liked you. But then a photo of you reading in a skirt went viral. People kept saying I was unworthy of you. Their judgmental stares. I started to change. I wanted to ruin you. I didn't want you wearing skirts. I made you skip class. Isolate you from friends, so you'd have no one but me. I wanted you to be stuck in the mud with me. In the beginning, I succeeded. You became dependent on me. But then, I found I didn't like that version of you at all. He gave a bitter laugh. Pretty ironic. Huh? I dragged you down. And in the end, I was the one who couldn't take it. I froze for a moment. After the breakup, I had already figured it out. It was classic emotional manipulation, PUA. For 5 years, Ryan chipped away at my self-esteem, undermined my independence, took control in every way. I once believed I was nothing without him. But the tighter I tried to hold on to him, the faster he slipped away. When I was finally forced to leave, I realized everything he said was a lie. I was capable. I had clarity. I could live on my own and thrive. It was hard at first, but people grow. As Ryan got up to leave, he turned back with red eyes and asked, "Can't you give me one more chance?" I shook my head. Ryan, I'm not the kind of person who forgets the pain once the wound heals. Taking me off guard, he grabbed my hand. Julia, I was young and stupid. I hurt you. I won't ever do it again. Please, give me another chance. I remember your wish. You wanted to get married, right? I'll give you a home. Just then, a cold voice came from behind. Ryan, seriously? You're still trying to steal someone else's girl even in this state? Victor wrapped an arm around me and raised his hand, flashing our engagement rings. Sorry, pal, we're already engaged. Her birthday wish? I'll make it come true. Don't bother. Without even sparing Ryan another glance, he pulled me away. A year later, Victor and I officially got married. By then, I had already been promoted to middle management and was so swamped with work that we didn't even have time to hold a wedding ceremony. During a dinner with Victor's parents, his mother gently suggested, "Maybe you could switch to a less demanding job and start thinking about a baby?" She said it softly, but with unmistakable pressure. Before I could answer, Victor jumped up. "A baby? No thanks. I'm not done enjoying life with just the two of us." A week later, he slapped a vasectomy report on the table in front of his parents. They were furious and gave him a good beating, but eventually, they gave in. His mother even started transferring money to my account regularly, apologizing. "You've had it hard being with my son." I was baffled until I found out Victor had told them I really wanted a child, but that he hated kids, and I had been sacrificing for him all along. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He pulled me into his arms, looked up at the starry sky, and said, deeply serious, "Julia, I just want you to always be yourself when you're with me. You stay true to yourself. I'll take care of the rest."